Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews. So, I had a nice little chat with some people online on Twitter, and they like to accuse me of gatekeeping about Star Wars. And that's because I fired back at somebody who says, well, now that all the toxic fans or the toxic dude bros are gone, maybe we can finally enjoy it, or enjoy Star Wars. Well, the thing is, technically, people aren't enjoying Star Wars right now, because anything that is done by Disney is not Star Wars. You see, folks, as I have said, I enjoyed a few of elements of Bad Batch. I enjoyed a few elements of The Mandalorian. I enjoyed even a few elements of The Clone Wars. And you want to know something? Just because I enjoyed them does not mean that I acknowledge them as real Star Wars. You see, real Star Wars is George Lucas era Star Wars and the EU. That is just how it is. That's the truth of it. And people can bitch all they want and say that, oh, you're just a toxic fan. I don't give a shit what your opinion of me is. I really don't. And frankly, I'm sick and tired of all these people doing their form of gatekeeping, calling us toxic because we actually care more about the lore than they do. You see, when they asked me for examples of the identity politics that has plagued Star Wars, I gave them specific examples. When they asked me the lore violations, I gave them specific examples. And you want to know what? They continue, even when you give them proof, they're too fucking stupid to accept it. Now, the lore, or the examples of lore violations that I gave them are the TIE Fighter the TIE Fighter hyperdrive violations, the light speed skipping violations, the fact that a TIE Fighter actually needs a home ship, like a Star Destroyer, or something of that caliber, to get very deep into space, because it is a short-range fighter. And TIE Fighters having hyperspace capability was very poorly done, and also still impossible, because the hyperspace strain on a minimal build of a TIE Fighter would tear it apart in hyperspace. You see, folks, a lot of people will probably say, well, in the sequels, maybe they tried to, or maybe they improved the design. They're still a ball, minimal design. They're still, they still have to wear the life support helmets, so that still tells you that it's a minimal design. So, no. They didn't really improve on it, except that they gave it a sleeker look. The only TIE Fighter that had, and TIE Fighter, specifically, the fighter class, that had a hyperdrive was Darth Vader's. Also, if memory serves, which I'm pretty sure it does, the designs for that TIE Fighter were on the Death Star. The first one, when it blew up. Because it was developed partially in the Death Star. They had it designed in the Death Star. They took it out to the place where they designed the TIE Fighters. I cannot remember which specific shipyards designed the TIE Fighters. And then they had it designed there. Or not designed, but built there. Plus, the prototype hyperdrive, miniaturized, was the only one to ever be created. So, unfortunately, that also means that when Vader's TIE Fighter was completely destroyed when he crashed it on a planet, well, that also means that it was lost. Now, the light speed skipping that Rise of Palpatine did, a lot of people are like, well, show me the proof that light speed or that lightspeed skipping is a lore violation. If you actually pay attention to the movie, New Hope, and use your brain, because apparently people don't like doing that anymore when watching a movie and investing into the lore and the culture of the beautiful universe, and yes, even diverse universe that is Star Wars. And you hear words like, without precise calculations, you could fly right through a star, bounce too close to a supernova, and that would end your trip real quick, wouldn't it? And also, they established in a later part of that very same scene when they arrived in the Alderaan system, when Luke thought that the TIE fighter followed him, Obi-Wan was quick to stop him. No, it's a short-range fighter. And then later on, a fighter that small couldn't get this deep into space on its own. That tells you everything you need to know about the distance capabilities of a TIE fighter and the fact that it is short range and it couldn't have followed. Also, if you look at all the books and stuff that came with the movies, all say TIE fighters do not have hyperdrive capability. But in the Rise of Palpatine novel, by that Rey, whatever her name was, she even cheats it. They now have the capability. That's all it says when it comes to TIE fighters. Now, if this was the original George Lucas story group, and they wanted to put a hyperdrive on TIE fighters, they would have found and written a way that was comprehensible and able to fit the fact that TIE fighters had hyperspace capability. But no, they had to cheat and cheapen the lore by basically saying, oh, they now have the capability without giving any explanation as to why. So it's going to be hard for people to take it at face value. I'm sorry, I take nothing at face value. I always ask questions, even when it comes to things I love. Folks, I love Star Wars, and I have loved it since I was 2. I'm 36 now. I'm going to be 37 in a few months. And when you take something of mine, or something not of mine, but something that I have loved for almost my entire life, and you just completely run roughshod through it, shitting on it, and whatnot, I will take offense. They also asked me, give me proof of the identity politics. The proof is in the marketing. The proof is in The Last Jedi. And even in the Rise of Palpatine. You see, they cared nothing about the men. Also, it's in The Force Awakens, because the thing was, Finn was supposed to be a Jedi. Finn was supposed to be one of the main lightsaber-wielding characters. But then you get somebody who wants to do his own thing when there was no plan for this trilogy, and he cucks Finn in a very racist manner. Also, the identity politics, as I said, was in the marketing, where they have to point out, oh, we got strong female characters. Yeah, but the problem is you're cutting down the men. Like you did with Finn. He was a great character. He had heart. He was force sensitive, most likely. And then does later on confirm that he is force sensitive. And yet, he was shoved in the back burner. Also, look at how China treated his character in the frickin' posters. They shoved it back, or they shrunk his character down because they don't like black people. The thing is, folks, a lot of you guys don't realize this. China is a very deeply bigoted and racist country. They do not like anything that is not their own. Also, that lesbian kiss in Rise of Palpatine. Disney claims to care for LGBTQ and whatnot, and yet when it comes to getting that money, that's what they care about more. They don't care about the LGBTQ community. They cut that scene out in China, and they cut that scene out in the Middle East so that they could get that money. They don't give two shits about identity politics. but yet they will pander to the people and put in their take of identity politics so that the whiners won't whine. What they should do is that they should have listened to George Lucas, expanded on his story. What they should have done was actually respect his lore that he had established and approved. You see, folks, when I say that I didn't even consider Filoni's Clone Wars as canon or as Star Wars, it's because he cooked a lot of things. You cannot also do hyperspace in atmosphere. If you are too close to a gravity well, you cannot do hyperspace. It will pull you out of hyperspace. Why do you think they had to clear a planet's atmosphere in the movies to go to hyperspace? Maybe it's because of the gravity well. Did you ever think of that? They actually show this pretty well in episodes 1, 2, and I believe 3 as well. They actually show that very well. Because the thing is, notice how Amidala's ship had to clear a blockade because the blockade was close to the atmosphere in episode 1. I accidentally kicked a chair. Also, if you notice, they had to clear the atmosphere for the Jedi starfighters so that they could actually get to their hyperspace rings and then go to hyperspace. They had to clear atmosphere. They had to, or Obi-Wan had to clear atmosphere in General Grievous's ship to go to hyperspace when he was fleeing the clones. You see, they established the rules, they kept to the rules in episodes, or in the original trilogy, and in the prequel trilogy. They expanded the universe as well, and rightfully so. But when you tried expanding it, or when they tried expanding it in 7, 8, and 9, they did a piss poor job at doing so, and that's why people didn't like it. When Poe and Finn are riding in a TIE fighter trying to escape the First Order, they should have had helmets on. Because the thing is, once you get into the vacuum of space in a TIE fighter, you can't breathe. That's what those helmets were for. Those chest thingies, kind of like Darth Vader's suit, are life support systems, because there's no life support in a TIE fighter. Nor are there things in, or hyperspace engines on TIE fighters. And now I'm going to use some of Disney logic, Disney lore, against them. You know when the Falcon hyperspace skipped, or lightspeed skipped, in Rise of Palpatine? And you saw how much trouble and strain it put on the hyperdrive? Well, a miniaturized hyperdrive on a TIE fighter would have ripped it apart as they were skipping through lightspeed. So, yeah, that doesn't make sense either. And that is why all these people who defend the Disney trilogy as if it is God's gift to humanity, who are blind fans, who are basically dumb enough to buy a bottle of piss that I would have taken a piss in, slapped the Star Wars logo and said, look, this is Bantha piss. They would have been dumb enough to buy that. Because they don't question the lore. They don't question the violations. They don't question anything. They just take it at face value. If a person says they like Star Wars because it's Star Wars, that is not a real fan to me. I am sorry, that is my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. If you think that Disney Star Wars is Star Wars in the face of all of these violations of lore, I'm sorry. I don't consider you a real Star Wars fan. You've never breathed, and lived and read all the books. You've never understood all of the technical lore that they've also added in those books. And a lot of you will then say, well, it's no longer, or the EU is no longer canon, so we can do whatever the hell we want. Yeah, but does any of that new lore make sense? No, it doesn't. They took a great lore, a great history, a great diverse universe as all of you guys claim to want, and you got rid of it. And you pushed in shit, and you made identity politics the forefront, and people are automatically saying, no, we reject this. You want to know why? Because we shouldn't be focusing on sexuality and race. When you put that in the forefront of your marketing, in the forefront of the story of Star Wars, when the story of Star Wars is a galactic opera, nobody wants to care, or nobody wants to give two shits about who a person's fucking, what their preferred or interpreted gender is. Nobody cares about that. You mention it, you move on. That's how you do it right. Nobody cares. And that's how they did it in Star Wars. They had the whole non-binary thing in the EU. They had gay characters. They had a menagerie of Asian-looking characters, of African-American characters, even though African-American and Asian are Earth people, are earthly races, but they had people who looked that way in the Star Wars universe, in the EU. And also the menagerie of different alien species out there. But these people don't care. They're Disney Star Wars fans, and honestly, Disney hasn't done an acceptable Star Wars at all. I've often said that Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie they've done, but honestly, it's still not Star Wars because it also has lore violations, like them going into lightspeed just as the planet is breaking up a little bit because of the first Death Star test. And it's getting windy. You see, folks, I'm sick and tired of it all. All these people who think that Disney Star Wars is the best thing ever. Well, honestly, you have never paid attention to what real Star Wars is. I don't consider anything that Disney has done Star Wars. None of it. Not even those little micro changes that they put in OT or in the original trilogy. McClunky. No. I like the lore that was rich, that was 95% consistent, and that was enjoyable and very organically acceptable. And that is why I don't consider people who like the Disney trilogy, who, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you like it, that's fine. You guys can like it. I'm not here to take away your liking of it. I'm not here to say that you are somehow lesser because you like it. I'm simply saying you're not a Star Wars fan. If you were a Star Wars fan, you would know the lore breaks. You would know these violations. Now, if you know them and you accept them, that is fine. We'll agree to disagree. But I do not consider you a Star Wars fan. If you like the original trilogy and stuff, yeah, fine. If you like both universes, whatever. I'll agree to disagree with you on the Disney stuff. But if you think that Disney Star Wars is the best thing ever, I don't consider you a Star Wars fan. The Mandalorian also had violations of the lore. Look at how they treated the Mandalorians, how this offshoot did the whole "we don't believe in taking off our helmets" thing. The only person who wouldn't take off their helmet in the ancient Mandalorians was Mandalore himself. And that was after and that was before Canderous Ordo's time. He was one of the last Mandalores to ever not remove his helmet once he became Mandalore. He only removed it when others were not around, or within his closest, council, so to speak. But yes, folks, that is going to be the video. It is going to piss off a lot of people. But you know what? I know those who actually do like the Disney trilogy, and do like the Disney content, and those who are at least willing to call out the lore violations, those ones I do consider Star Wars fans, because guess what? They have the integrity to call it out. And they have the integrity to know that it doesn't really make that much sense, but they can still enjoy it. And if you enjoy Disney Star Wars, that is fine. If you like all of that stuff, that is fine. And if you do consider it Star Wars, That's fine. You're wrong, but it's fine. Because honestly, Disney Star Wars isn't Star Wars. That's just a fact that a lot of people are going to have to live with when talking with me. It's not Star Wars, and I can easily prove how it's not Star Wars. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think? Are you sick and tired of being called toxic? Because you happen to know a lot more about Star Wars than the people who are not really that much of a fan of Star Wars. Are you sick and tired of being considered hateful and bigoted because you pointed out the differences in the lore and how the original lore makes sense and this new lore does not? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below, folks. Different opinions are also welcome. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.